Okay, well, we're marching right along. Chapter 6, inverses and radical functions and relations. And here we are in 6-4, nth roots, where we're doing something other than just square roots, where we're finding roots and simplifying using absolute value. And now we're going to take a little bit of work with our calculator. So why don't we look at what our formula is here, or what our problem is that we're confronted with. And it's got an A and B. This is coming actually from page 409 in our textbook. This is Real World Example 3, Approximate Radicals. So the surface area of a sphere can be determined from the volume of a sphere using the formula S equals the cube root of 36 pi V squared, where V is the volume, S is the surface area. And we're just asked to determine the surface area of a sphere with a volume of 200 cubic inches. And so we're just going to plug in what we got. S is what we're trying to find, the surface area. And we got the cube root of 36 pi times 200 squared. Okay, pretty quick, down and dirty. We'll jump over on the calculator and then we'll come back and work portion B of this particular problem on page 409. All right, so let's calculate the surface area. Well, we're taking the cube root of 36 pi times 200 squared. Yeah, 200 cubic inches squared. All right, so let's see. We're going to want to take the cube root. Let's go here we're going to click on the math button. And we're going to choose option 4, which conveniently there for us is a cube root. If there's anything higher than a square root, which we would just use this little key right here, right above the x squared, we would use 5. But we can choose option 4. That's going to give us a cube root. And we're going to have 36. And let's see, pi is right here above the arrow. So I'm going to hit second. Excuse me, not arrow, caret. That's going to put in pi. And I like to put in my parentheses here when I'm going to square this 200. It's about 2, 0, 0. I'm going to close my parentheses and square it. And I'm going to hit enter. And I can see that I've got about a surface area of about 165 square inches, or 165.4 square inches, depending on what I'm rounding to. If I'm just going to round to the nearest whole number, it'd be 165 square inches. And if I rounded it to the nearest tenth, it would be 165.4 square inches. So there we go. We used cube root. Pretty easy, pretty simple. No problemo. All right, now that we've done part A, let's take a look at part B. We still got the same formula. S surface area equals the cube root of 36 pi volume, or V squared, volume squared. And now we're asked if the surface area of a sphere is about 214.5 square inches, determine the volume. So what are we going to have to do here? Well, we're going to, let's see, we know the surface area, 214.5 equals the cube root of 36 pi. And we do not know the volume, V squared. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of our math work before we jump over here to the calculator. First thing I'm going to need to do is cube 214.5. Like to cube it. That's going to get rid of the cube root on the right side. And then I'm going to divide it by 36 pi, which then would just leave me with equals V squared. But I'm solving for V, and so I'm going to end up taking the square root of 214.5 cubed divided by 36 pi. And again, we'll jump over here to the calculator and give it a go. Okay, well, let's find the volume when we know the surface area. So in this case, we know the surface area is 214.5 square inches. And we're trying, and our formula, of course, is surface area equals the cube root of 36 pi volume squared. So we're going to start off by, and I'm going to do this just one step at a time on the calculator rather than put it all in one big formula. So we got 214.5. That was our surface area. But it's equal to a cube root. So in order to get rid of that cube root so that we can solve for the V for volume, I'm going to need to cube both sides of the equation. So I'm going to have to raise this up to the third power, which we do. And here we got that big, huge number right there. And on the right-hand side, that would have gotten rid of that cube root. Now I'm going to divide this by 36 pi. And we'll show you a tip here. When I just hit the divide button, it loads in that big long number, 918.625, blah, blah, blah. But when I divide it by 36 pi, it's important that I put that in parentheses. If I don't, it's not going to calculate it correctly. So let's hit second caret to load the pi in. Let's close that parentheses and hit enter. And now we're going to take the square root of that. So this number here, 87,262.87475, is equal to V squared, or the volume squared. So to solve for V, the volume, which is what I'm trying to do, I'm going to take square root of this, and I'm going to hit the square root button by hitting second right here at the x squared, which loads into square root. Now, I want to get that number, 86,262.87475 in there, but I don't want to type that. So here's another trick. If you look right down here above the negative symbol, right underneath the 3, you see above that in blue, A and S. That's answer. That'll load in the previous answer. Since I had to put in my root symbol, my square root symbol first, I couldn't just hit square root because it's going to come up there and ask me square root of what. So I'm going to hit second, the little negative symbol. That loads in that answer above it. Let's hit enter. This should give us an answer. Yes. And it's about 295.4 square inches is our volume. Anyway, just a couple of tricks. One, how to do the cube root. That was 2 slides ago. Here, this little trick right here, make sure you put that in parentheses or you're going to get a different answer. It's going to divide it by 36 and then multiply by pi or do something weird. How you can put in your answer if you have to put in your symbol first. So anyway, just 2 or 3 little different tricks here on our TI-84 calculator. All right, have fun.